sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, ich darf Sie im Namen der Koelnmesse auch noch mal ganz herzlich.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to welcome all of you here to our European Trade Press Conference for spoga+gafa. I'm delighted that you've made the effort to actually come here from 15 different countries in order to avail yourselves of a first-hand impression of the latest trends and developments related to spoga+gafa. We have already introduced a whole range of gentlemen who will be able for tapping as experts, and you can see we have a very comprehensive program that we want to offer to you. And I very much enjoyed the introduction to the topic with botanical gardens here in Bonn. I've heard it's been very warm. Unfortunately, in time for the weekend, we have the holy icy spirits, as we say, so temperatures will drop again. But the gardening season is in full swing, and that obviously applies to the preparation of the most important global meeting place for gardening and leisure, spoga+gafa. We're very proud that once more this year we've got a full house. Yet again, we are now occupying the whole of the trade fair area, exception to be made for Hall 4, in which the parallel event Spoga Horse will be taking place, which is as usual, actually. We're expecting to welcome about 2,000 exhibitors from about 52 countries, including numerous global market leaders, and all of them will be showing a huge variety of products that are needed for the creation and care of gardens and for life in people's gardens. Now, in other words, from 2nd to 4th September, Cologne will once more be the global meeting place of the gardening and leisure sector. We are obviously pleased that spoga+gafa will span a wide view of everything. We are very international, and approximately 80% of the exhibitors are coming from abroad. And thus, we can proudly say that the diverse and very international range of products and services will bring key decision makers from the specialist retail trade, buying cooperatives and international trading groups. And 60% of the trade visitors come from outside Germany. Last year, we had about 60% of trade visitors coming from abroad, and this makes us the most important event for the green industry, where we actually are facilitating business on a global scale. Ladies and gentlemen, about 2 years ago, we introduced a new segmentation of the show. The underlying idea was to make it easier to gain an overview, and the new segments are subdivided into garden creation, garden living, garden care, garden basics, and garden unique. And these structures actually are supposed to give visitors a clear orientation system that is fully in line with the purchasing structures of the retail trade. We can certainly say that introducing the system has been worth a while. It looks practical and promising, and we're therefore continuing to use it and apply it for this year's event too. Now, at this point, I would like to briefly explain the hall layout, because as the exhibition grounds are fully occupied, the layout has been slightly altered when you compare it with last year's layout. Now, let's start with garden creation, which includes plants, water technology, garden structures, lighting, and handheld tools. That will occupy about 23,000 square meters of gross exhibition space in halls 8 and 9. Now we've got the area of garden care. Products such as motorized equipment, garden tools, gardening soil, and fertilizers will be presented on approximately 26,000 square meters in halls 6 and 7. We are actually delighted that MTD Wolfgarten will once again be present in the garden care segment, because this once more emphasizes the significance of spoga+gafa as a leading global trade fair for the garden sector. Now, all garden products from the discount segment will be presented in the garden basics area in hall 11.3 on approximately 17,000 square meters. And the segment of garden living will, as usual, occupy most of the halls, simply and rightly speaking, because it includes the product group of garden furniture, which is traditionally the largest group, and this year will include approximately 700 companies. Now, the hall layout of the garden living segment has been organized as follows. In halls 9 and 10, decorative items and accessories will be displayed on approximately 30,000 square meters of gross exhibition space. Visitors will find everything they need for barbecuing and grill activities on approximately 14,000 square meters in Hall 5.1, and products for sport and games as well as camping and leisure activities will be shown on about 13,000 square meters in Hall 5.2. Outdoor furniture will be displayed on about 62,000 square meters of space in Halls 1, 2.1, 3, 11.1 and 11.2. And then, ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you that last year we introduced Garden Unique, a new format for highlighting exclusive outdoor designs. The underlying idea at the time was to offer an appropriate platform for top brands in the field of garden furniture, and to thus further address special groups of visitors, namely architects, high-end furniture traders, interior designers working in the contract sector, and designers. And the concept has proven a success, and we're delighted to see that almost all of the premium manufacturers who exhibited last year will once again be at hand in September. But that's not all. We've also been able to attract additional renowned exhibitors such as Minuti, Viteo, Barlow, Tyree, Sol Puri. All of those have bought into Garden Unique. This curated segment in Hall 2.2 will encompass a good 10,000 square meters of gross exhibition space and will meet the requirements of the brand name manufacturers thanks to the very high quality design-orientated setting it offers. Now, in addition, a separate presentation of exhibitors' products will highlight current trends in the Garden Unique segment. Well, one fundamental aim of the Garden Unique concept is to promote contacts between well-established top brands and young designers. We are therefore continuing with the competition for up-and-coming young designers and their creative ideas. Now, the exhibitors in the field of Garden Unique in particular will reap the benefits of this competition because they will have the exclusive right to acquire and implement ideas from this competition for a period of 6 months. Now, this year's motto is dining outdoors, and it's thus much more product focused than last year's competition, because last year the motto was Gardens Go Balcony, and the balconies of a residential complex in the Rheinhafen district of Cologne served as models for the design concepts. Now, this year, by contrast, no specific space or occasion has been assigned to the competitors, because instead they will be asked to design the furniture and structures for a perfect culinary experience outdoors. Entries might range from easily transportable pieces of furniture, high-quality sunshades for a picnic, to the outdoor area of a street cafe, an outdoor kitchen, or the seating or shade-giving equipment needed by professional catering services for large parties, for an exclusive hotel or restaurant. Now, in other words, we're not setting any limits to the creative freedom of the participating designers, and Lord knows what kind of innovative concepts we are going to be presented with that so far we haven't been able to imagine in our wildest dreams. Now, designs submitted by contestants will be judged by the creative community on the jovoto.com platform and an expert jury. Now, the top quality of this year's jury will be guaranteed by prominent new members, including the renowned French designer and architect Patrick Nadeau. There is the renowned designer Mark Sadler from Milan, as well as Marcus Fairs, the editor-in-chief of Design, the international online magazine for architecture and design. Now, the jury will also include an expert in the area of outdoor catering. There is Herbert Seckler, the owner of the posh restaurant Zanzibar, a trendy restaurant in the midst of the sand dunes of Sylt. Returning to the jury will be Tobias Lutz, the co-founder and managing director of architectonic.com, and Ralf Ferdinand Brückmann, the publisher and editor-in-chief of the German architectural magazine Bild. Now, the awards ceremony for the design competition will take place during the Unique Hour, that is on Monday of the trade fair, a get-together where professionals can share ideas in an informal atmosphere. And with the Unique Hour and new types of creative matchmaking at Garden Unique, we want to promote more in-depth communication between premium suppliers, the high-end furniture trade, architects, interior designers, builders, building owners, and designers in general. Ladies and gentlemen, another very interesting idea is the Boulevard of Ideas. This time round, it is focusing on sustainability. Now, accordingly, the setup of the Boulevard, including the trade fair, constructions, communication and services, will take environmental aspects into account. Now, the Boulevard of Ideas will also focus on this theme in terms of its content. The aim here is to provide visitors with practical, user-orientated examples of effective marketing at the point of sale. Now, after all, the trade is also asking how display areas can be designed sustainably and how these areas can be decorated in a simple and attractive way with natural materials. Now, the Boulevard of Ideas will provide all of those seeking for it with inspiration, advice, and practical tips and tricks to that effect. There will be 7 different areas in all, 2 of which will be located in the piazza. Now, all of the exhibition areas will offer an interesting mix of presentations, information, and hands-on experience. So, for example, visitors can go on a shopping tour of a small model of a retail outlet and test modern tools, such as shopping lists on a smartphone, smart shopping trolleys, displays with product recommendations, and digital orientation systems. Now, there will also be a place for beach and water sports on the Boulevard of Ideas. In general, the Boulevard of Ideas will provide specialized retailers and large-scale market suppliers alike with inspiring ideas that can be concretely implemented in every sales and distribution format. Now, the plant park in Hall 9 at spoga+gafa will serve as the trade fair's communication center. Now, at its very center, the stand of the VDG will act as a central meeting point for garden centers in Germany and abroad in particular. Now, the plant park will therefore be the venue of Garden Center Day, which will be held on the Sunday of the trade fair, and which will provide special information and activities for this target group. This item on the trade fair program will be the final event of the International Garden Center Convention, which will be held in Bonn from August 26 to September 1st. Now, all of the conference participants will receive an invitation to spoga and gafa and will be able to reach the trade fair conveniently via a bus shuttle service. Now, we're very pleased to have this cooperative arrangement, and we are convinced that it will enable us to attract even more visitors from abroad. Now, in addition to that, the plant park will offer an interactive program and a wealth of information about plants at every day of the fair. Now, as the trend show of the sector, spoga and gafa will, of course, showcase the latest innovations of the exhibitors in the garden furniture segment. Teams of actors will present the current trends in the garden furniture in a series of extremely creative and entertaining furniture acts. I think this is going to be very attractive and interesting, and the barbecue park and the outdoor area of Koelnmesse will give visitors a genuine outdoor feeling. Here, the latest innovations will be showcased as part of the BIAC Trend Forum and a product show. And it goes without saying that visitors will also be able to enjoy culinary delights thanks to the hands-on barbecue events. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to an intensive exchange of ideas, events that bring together the representatives of the sector or special groups within the sector are also extremely important. And in addition to the Garden Center Day and the unique hour at Garden Unique, which I've already mentioned, spoga+gafa also offers an evening highlight. There is the 6 o'clock party on Sunday night. Now, as the name implies, this big sector party on the first day of the trade fair will start 1 hour earlier than it did in previous years. That's because we've changed the opening hours of the trade fair. Now, as a response to the sector's demands, this year's spoga+gafa will return to its original opening hours. In other words, the trade fair will be open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday and Monday, and from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the Tuesday. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I very much hope I've tickled your curiosity regarding this year's spoga+gafa. Once again, you'll find that a visit to the fair will be worthwhile, and I very much hope that you and your readers will be interested in visiting the trade fair. Now, it is obviously our intention to emphasize this trade fair as the top international platform for sport and garden industries, and therefore I would be delighted to welcome you and as many specialists from your countries as possible to Cologne at the beginning of September. Thank you for your attention.
Ja, vielen Dank, Frau Hamma, nach diesem Ausblick auf die
Right, thank you very much, Ms. Hamma. We will now look at the industry, and therefore I'd like to call upon you, Mrs. Derin-Holzapfel, to share your thoughts with us. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the international expert press, Mrs. Hamma, ladies and gentlemen from federations and associations. This year, too, we are very, very pleased to be here and attend this very special event for specialized press. We always like having this dialogue with you and sharing with you what we think about the situation. German companies do bank on sustainability and quality, and I think that you have not only been very successful at attracting designers to the trade fair, but with this event at this design hotel here, you've already put a good stamp on this event. The Association of German Sporting Goods Manufacturers, BSI, and its member companies from the leisure, garden and water sports sectors will be in an optimistic mood when they come to spoga+gafa 2012. This optimism is owed to the trade's very good start into the current sales season. But an even more important reason is a strong foundation enjoyed by the industry's very competitive companies whose focus on high quality, innovation and environmentally friendly and environmentally compatible products and production processes is proving to be popular with the market. The companies organized within the BSI can look back on a successful business year in 2011. This is the case despite the fact that after a fabulous spring season, we had weather conditions that were sometimes catastrophic for many seasonal products. In some instances, a substantial increase in domestic demand and shifts in the product ranges to items that can be used in the home as well as outdoor more than offset the decline in business caused by the rainy summer in 2011. As a result, many companies are reporting turnover increases of close to 10%. The Barbecue Industry Association, BIAG, can also look back on 2011 as a successful business year. After all, the trend towards outdoor living and the barbecue culture influence one another rather positively indeed. Consumers want to have fun outdoors, and they're prepared to invest more money in high quality and more exclusive equipment to that effect. In fact, the figures recently published in the industry publication IFH Branchenfokus Grillen 2012 the IFH sector-focused barbecue in 2012, can confirm that the turnover forecast by the BIAG for 2011 were exceeded by a wide margin. Germans spent almost 1.1 billion euros on barbecues, barbecue equipment and combustibles, with barbecues themselves, the grills themselves, accounting for 2/3 of the total. At the same time, the European charcoal market for barbecues, including briquettes, has grown to around 1 million metric tons. But there is also a challenge involved there. There is high cost pressure. So let's move on to the challenges that we're currently facing. For many manufacturers, profits did not rise at the same rate as turnover because companies were only partially able to pass on higher costs to consumers after prices had skyrocketed last year in the East Asian procurement markets. The costs of transport and energy also rose significantly, and as a result, consumers faced moderate price increases in only a few product areas. Now, profit margins are being further impacted by the weakening euro. After all, businesses transacted in dollars on the commodities and oil markets, as well as in the countries that manufacture the relevant products in East Asia. After it had briefly looked like price developments on the commodities markets would calm down in early 2012, prices have again risen appreciably since March. Now, the fact that fuel and energy costs seem to be heading in only one direction, that is up, it is obvious to everyone who goes to the petrol station or receives a bill for natural gas or heating oil. And that is why consumers and the trade will have to expect higher prices in 2013 as well. There is one positive bit of news, though, and that is the supply situation in East Asia, which improved slightly. However, the production countries in East Asia have recovered. After the financial crisis, in many cases, there were substantial supply delays or even production downtimes. This situation has calmed down somewhat since mid-2011, certainly. As a result, most ordered goods can again be delivered in full and on time. The BSI member companies have adapted to the situation and planned several months of lead time into their processes. Companies are also increasingly thinking of transferring production back to Europe due to the huge rise in the cost of labor in East Asia. Many companies are currently investing in the increased automation of their East Asian production facilities. Investments are also made to save energy and use clean energy. Freight costs have also added to the problem. Our customers are also more environmentally conscious. The sports and leisure industry companies organized within the BSI have always focused on offering high-quality products. And this focus is now increasingly paying off for the companies involved. That is particularly true with the German market. In addition, we can see that consumers and the trade increasingly want to know where the goods come from and how they were produced, which shows that people are becoming more and more environmentally conscious and interested in the maintenance of a certain degree of social standard. Customers are increasingly willing to pay more money to ensure that proper standards are abided by. The BSI members are delighted with this development. Now, getting products certified and getting them awarded labels indicating that they're environmentally friendly and were manufactured under socially acceptable conditions is undoubtedly an expensive and laborious process. However, these labels are something that customers are demanding and appreciating, and which they reward in the form of higher sales. Now, what's more, such certification makes it more difficult for suppliers of cheap products to enter the market. Such companies are finding it increasingly difficult to sell goods and are often produced under questionable circumstances. Customers in Germany are particularly quality conscious when making purchases. This development is especially being felt by manufacturers who can produce products made in Germany or elsewhere in Europe and who offer goods that bear labels demonstrating their compliance with environmental or social standards. But one thing that is also attractive is that BSI member companies provide mutual support to one another. And the BSI member companies play a leading role when it comes to environmental protection and compliance with social standards. Now, extensive cooperation and information sharing between the association's member companies really does pay off here. The topics addressed do not concern direct competition between the companies, but instead basic issues related to environmental compatibility, corporate social responsibility, and certification, areas in which all of the companies pull together and support one another. Now, to date, the hotly debated political issue of the demographic change and how this will impact the labour market has not played a major role as far as the BSI member companies are concerned. Jobs at companies in the German sport and leisure industry continue to be extremely attractive and also provide women with good opportunities to advance into leadership positions. Following the good level of pre-orders for this year and the very positive start to the current season, in which the trade didn't have much old inventory at their hands, the BSI and its members' companies have great expectations for spoga+gafa 2012 and the 2013 order round. There are good indications that 2012 will be a successful business year. The garden, leisure and water sport industry expects a further growth in 2013. Although good weather continues to be the best economic stimulus for our sector. Now, to conclude, there are some figures from the BSI's economic analysis following the first quarter of 2012. The results show that 58% of the companies assess their business situation as good or very good, while the remaining 42% are satisfied with their situation. A total of 16% of the companies have higher business expectations for the second and third quarters. 76% expect business to remain steady, and 8% think that business will be worse than in the first quarter. Now, last year, 21% of the BSI member companies expanded their workforces. 13% of the member companies are currently planning to hire new employees and increase their staff in 2012. So here too you can see that the BSI and the sports items industry proves to be an SME engine and strong drive. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention, and I wish all of us an exciting and successful spoga+gafa 2012.
Ja, vielen Dank, Frau Derin-Holzapfel.
Right, thank you very much, Mrs. Derin-Holzapfel. After we've heard that the BSI and the whole of the industry is looking into the future rather positively, I'd like to call upon Mr. Riel to ask him whether he would agree. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Advisory Committee of GAFA and representative of the German Garden Industry Association, I bid you a very warm welcome. Ms. Schmidt, I can confirm that we too are taking a positive look at the future. Now, the members of our association are already looking forward to spoga+gafa 2012, and we're very confident that the positive trend for the garden market and by extension for the trade fair spoga+gafa will continue this year. Consumers are increasingly discovering for themselves the field of gardening. This is a trend that continues. the garden has now taken on a special role as a place of refuge. Gardens offer an opportunity to recover and to enjoy creative potentials, getting close to nature, experiencing sustainability, for instance, by cultivating one's own vegetables, and to a certain degree to also feel a Mediterranean lifestyle. So it's no wonder that the garden furniture, garden cooking and barbecuing, lifestyle products, and notably greenery sectors all benefited from this trend last year. Now, the year 2011 got off to an exceptionally good start for the industry, as Derin-Holzapfel already said. Very early on, we were surprised by spring with summer temperatures and sunshine over a continued period of about 9 weeks. Now, fantastic starting conditions for the garden market. Unfortunately, some people complained of a dry spell in April, May. And that caused lawns to suffer, along with the markets for associated products. And then the subsequent unusually rainy months provided few opportunities for gardening. Now, as a result, the strong sales of the spring faded away to some degree. Ultimately, however, there was a high level of satisfaction with the gardening year as a whole in the fields served by the German Garden Industry Association. The majority of the 5 special departments of IVG, garden and lawn care equipment, plant nutrition, health and care, substrates, soils, raw materials, garden lifestyle and greenery all reported a positive outcome. For 2012, more than half of the members, namely 69%, expect continued growth in the garden market. The specialist shops in the segment of owner-operated garden centers reported sales of around 1.7%. Now, IFH reported as much as 3.8%. That was reported by IFH, the Institute for Trade Research. Now, garden centers are putting greenery at the center of their product lines, and growth was especially strong here. Now, with 23%, they account for sales in garden centers, making it the largest single product range for this distribution channel, Living Green, that is. The IVG supports this positive trend with different measures. We're carrying out trend research inquiries, we do market research, we analyze market data. This year, for example, there will be an IVG almanac on the subject Kitchen Garden 2.0. Now, possibly a few more words on 2012. 2012 is, despite all the forecasts of climate change, the weather for the year is living up to what we'd actually expect, such as in April, for example. Even April is in line of what should be normal for this month of the year. Now, for many companies, that means a slump in sales, especially compared with the brilliant month we had at this time last year. I thought the weather then was not very natural. Nevertheless, we are currently still right in the middle of the season, and there are still important boosts to purchasing ahead of us. Naturally, we're hoping for a sunny European Soccer Championship in June. We are hoping for lots of gardening and barbecuing, and the Soccer Championship is not going to positively affect the soccer fans, but also all of our manufacturers. We think that we can make up for the losses that we've had early this year. There has been a Forsa survey that confirmed the positive trend for the gardens. The survey says that about 53% of consumers want to brighten up their garden in particular this year. According to the BAT Leisure Research Institute, the number of people who say that gardening is their favorite leisure pursuit has risen by 12% in recent years. A massive number. Another indication is that more than half of all allotments, long seen as old-fashioned, are now being leased to young families who are putting themselves on waiting lists to get one such allotment. And in some areas, these lists are exceedingly long. Now, the Federal German Association for Gardening and Landscaping, BGL, generates more than half of its orders from the private sector. Now, having one's own garden has become a source of prestige, and it increases the value of a piece of property. Now, homegrown vegetables are admired these days when guests are invited. We're doubtless at the beginning of this development, in which the consumer increasingly comes to realize that many of his desires for nature, a slower pace, grounding, sustainable living, enjoyment, advertising, food and sociability can be satisfied. IVG and its members are firmly convinced that only trade shows can make it possible to experience and understand products, markets and trends at an early stage. It's only through such events that we, the trade and industry, can develop market products that make the consumer excited about their hobby. We, the board members and management of the German Garden Industry Association, look forward to meeting you at the get-together of our industry GAFA 2012. We, in Germany, are part of the European market, and that is why we have asked Professor Wolfgang Gerke, an economist and expert whose opinion is often sought by the media, to give a talk on the subject Germany and its prospects. Now, the prospects are good for gardens and gardeners, and that is why I hope we all have a fabulous gardening year, and I look forward to seeing all of you in September, and I would love to welcome you at our trade fair platform. Thank you.